Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and today we're diving into a really exciting topic: how to go from being a beginner to becoming fluent in English.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia, your co-host, and I'm so happy you're here with us today. Fluency in English is a big dream for many learners, and the good news is it's possible for anyone if you follow the right steps.
Exactly, Julia. Whether you're just starting with hello and how are you, or you've been learning for a while but feel stuck, this episode is for you.
Yes, and we're going to guide you through the journey step by step, from the early beginner struggles to building confidence to finally speaking English naturally and fluently.
And don't worry, we'll share practical tips, real examples, and some motivation to keep you going. Because the road to fluency can feel long, but every small step matters.
So, grab a notebook if you like, or just relax and listen. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear idea of how you can move from beginner level to fluency in English.
All right, let's get started with the first step: what it's really like in the beginner stage of learning English. So, Julia, let's begin with the very first stage, the beginner stage. This is where most people start their English learning journey.
Yes, and at this stage, things can feel really difficult. Most learners only know a few basic words like hello, goodbye, thank you, or sorry. They often feel nervous about speaking.
That's so true. I remember when I started learning a new language myself. I could say a few words, but when someone actually spoke to me, I froze. Many English beginners feel the same way.
Exactly. And one of the biggest struggles at this stage is fear of making mistakes. Learners think, what if I say something wrong? What if people laugh at me?
Yes, but mistakes are part of the process. If you never make mistakes, you'll never learn. Beginners should focus on simple goals, like learning common phrases, greetings, and basic vocabulary for everyday life.
Right? For example, being able to say, I would like some water, or where is the bus stop? These small sentences are really powerful for a beginner.
And we shouldn't forget the grammar struggle. At the beginner stage, many learners feel confused about tenses, verbs, and sentence structure. But it's okay not to understand everything at once.
Yes, it's much better to focus on communication first. Just being able to express yourself, even with broken sentences, is already a big achievement for a beginner.
I love that, Julia. Because fluency doesn't start with perfect grammar. It starts with using the language, little by little.
Exactly. So if you're at the beginner stage, don't worry. Every fluent English speaker in the world once started as a beginner, just like you.
That's a perfect reminder. Now, once learners survive the beginner stage, the next big thing they need is consistency. That's what we'll talk about next. All right, Julia, let's talk about one of the most important keys to fluency: consistency.
Yes, I think many learners underestimate how powerful consistency is. They study really hard for one day, maybe 5 hours, and then they don't touch English for a week.
Exactly. That's like going to the gym once, lifting heavy weights, and then not exercising again for a month. You won't see results.
Right. Instead, it's better to practice just 15 or 20 minutes every single day. Small, daily practice is what actually builds fluency.
I like to call it the daily habit effect. Even listening to a short podcast, reading a page from a book, or practicing 5 sentences can make a big difference over time.
Yes. And I always remind learners, it's not about studying harder, it's about studying smarter. Do something every day that keeps English in your life.
That's a great point. For example, you can listen to English songs while cooking, or change your phone settings to English. These are small habits, but when you do them consistently, your brain starts to think in English.
And when you're consistent, English becomes less scary. It starts to feel natural, like part of your daily routine.
Exactly. So, for all our listeners, remember, fluency is not built in one day. It's built by showing up every day, even with small steps.
Beautifully said, Jason. And once learners build this habit of consistency, the next step is to focus on creating a strong foundation in English.
Yes, and that's what we'll explore next. How to build a strong foundation for fluency. So, Julia, once learners build the habit of consistency, the next step is creating a strong foundation in English.
Yes, and when we say foundation, we mean the basics, the core skills that everything else is built on. If your foundation is strong, learning advanced English becomes much easier.
Exactly. And the first part of that foundation is basic grammar. You don't need to know every rule, but you should understand simple tenses, how to make questions, and how to form basic sentences.
Right. For example, knowing how to say I eat, I am eating, and I will eat. That's already a powerful start.
The second part of a strong foundation is common vocabulary and phrases. You don't need a dictionary in your head. Start with the 500 to 1,000 most common words and everyday expressions.
Yes, phrases like how are you? I don't understand. Can you help me? These are survival sentences for communication.
And let's not forget pronunciation. Many learners ignore it in the beginning, but if you practice sounds and stress early, it will save you a lot of trouble later.
That's true. Even just listening carefully and repeating short sentences can improve pronunciation a lot.
So, to sum it up, a strong foundation means basic grammar, common vocabulary, useful phrases, and clear pronunciation. If learners focus on these four, they'll have the tools to move forward.
And once that foundation is set, the next big step is building listening skills, which are so important for fluency.
Yes, because listening is actually the secret weapon of learning English. Let's dive into that next. Now, Julia, let's talk about something that often gets ignored by learners: listening skills. I believe listening is the real key to fluency.
I agree, Jason. Think about it. Before children speak their first words, they spend months just listening to their parents. Listening comes first, and then speaking naturally follows.
Exactly. When you listen a lot, your brain starts to recognize patterns, how words connect, how sentences flow, and even the rhythm of English.
Yes, and the more you listen, the more you start thinking in English instead of translating from your native language. That's a big step toward fluency.
So, how can learners improve listening? One simple way is to listen to short English podcasts like this one every day. Even if they don't understand every word, they will still catch the main idea.
Right. And movies or TV shows in English are also great. At the beginning, you can use subtitles, but over time, try to listen without them. It really trains your ears.
Music is another fun way. Listening to English songs and trying to catch the words can improve both vocabulary and pronunciation.
And I'd add, don't just listen passively. Try active listening. That means repeating what you hear, pausing the audio, and practicing the same sentence yourself.
That's a great point, because listening isn't just about hearing. It's about training your brain to respond.
Exactly. So to all our listeners, make listening a daily habit. Even 10 minutes a day can make a big difference over time.
Yes, and once you build strong listening skills, the next challenge is speaking. Probably the scariest step for most learners.
Haha, true. Let's talk about how to overcome the fear of speaking in English.
All right, Julia. Now we come to the big one: speaking practice. For most learners, this is the scariest part of learning English.
Yes, definitely. Many learners say, I can read, I can write, I can even listen, but when I try to speak, I get stuck.
Exactly. And the reason is fear. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of not finding the right word. Fear of sounding silly.
But here's the truth. Everyone makes mistakes when learning a language. Mistakes are not the enemy, they're your teachers. Every mistake shows you what to improve next.
I love that. And honestly, people don't laugh at you for trying. In fact, most native speakers are impressed when someone is learning their language.
That's true. And the best way to overcome the fear of speaking is to start small. Talk to yourself in English. Say what you're doing like I'm cooking rice or I'm going to work.
Yes, self-talk is powerful. Another tip is to record your voice. At first it feels strange, but when you listen, you'll hear progress over time.
And of course, practice with people when you can. Friends, online language partners, or even speaking out loud with TV shows and podcasts.
The most important thing is this: don't wait until your English is perfect to start speaking. Because if you wait, you'll never start.
Exactly. Fluency doesn't come from thinking about English, it comes from using English, even imperfectly.
Well said, Julia. So once learners begin speaking, the next step is practicing their reading and writing skills, which also build fluency.
Yes, let's explore that next.
So, Julia, we've talked about speaking, but another important part of fluency is reading and writing practice.
Yes, even if someone's main goal is to speak English, reading and writing are still very helpful. Reading gives you more vocabulary, and writing helps you organize your thoughts in English.
Exactly. When you read, you see how sentences are built, how grammar works naturally, and you discover new words in context. That's much easier than memorizing a word list.
Right, and learners don't need to start with difficult books. They can begin with short stories, children's books, or even simple news articles. Just 5 minutes a day can really help.
Yes, and writing doesn't have to be formal essays. It can be something simple like keeping a daily journal. Just write a few sentences about your day. Today I went to school. I met my friend. We had coffee.
That's a great example. Another idea is to write short messages in English, like on social media, or even texting with friends. Little by little, your confidence grows.
And here's something important. When you write, you also improve your speaking, because you practice forming sentences and choosing words.
Exactly. Reading and writing strengthen the foundation that makes speaking easier.
So for all our listeners, don't ignore reading and writing. Even if your goal is to talk fluently, these skills will speed up your progress.
Well said, Jason. And once you add reading and writing into your routine, the next step is immersion, surrounding yourself with English as much as possible.
Yes, immersion is like bringing English into your daily life, and that's what we'll talk about next. All right, Julia, now let's talk about one of my favorite strategies for learning a language: immersion.
Yes, many people think you have to move to an English-speaking country to immerse yourself, but that's not true. You can create immersion anywhere.
Exactly. Immersion simply means surrounding yourself with English in your daily life. For example, change your phone and computer settings into English. Suddenly, you're using English every time you check your messages or apps.
That's a great tip. Another one is to think in English. Instead of saying things in your native language in your head, try saying them in English. For example, if you see a bus, say to yourself, "The bus is coming."
I love that. And you can also label things around your home, like door, window, mirror. Every time you see them, your brain connects English words with real objects.
Yes, and don't forget about media. Watch movies, listen to podcasts, follow YouTube channels, all in English. Make English the background sound of your life.
Exactly. And even social media can be part of immersion. Follow English pages, join English groups, or comment in English.
The key is this: the more English you let into your daily environment, the more natural it feels. You stop studying English and start living in English.
Beautifully said, Julia. And after learners surround themselves with English, there's one big challenge they face: the intermediate plateau.
Yes, that stage when you're no longer a beginner but you feel stuck. Let's talk about that next.
So, Julia, after learners build a foundation and surround themselves with English, many of them hit something we call the intermediate plateau.
Yes, this is such a common stage. At first, progress feels fast. You learn new words every day, you start speaking simple sentences. But then, suddenly, it feels like you're not improving anymore.
Exactly. Learners say, I can understand some English, I can have short conversations, but I'm stuck. I don't feel like I'm moving forward.
And that's why it's called a plateau. You're not going backward, but you're not climbing up quickly either.
So the big question is, how do you keep progressing at this stage?
One tip is to push yourself a little outside your comfort zone. If you usually watch simple videos, try watching something a bit more advanced. If you usually read short texts, move on to longer articles or books.
Yes, and for speaking, don't just practice basic sentences. Try to tell a story, give your opinion, or explain something in detail. This forces you to use new grammar and vocabulary.
Another idea is to set small challenges. For example, this week I will learn 10 new words and use them in conversation, or I will watch one English video every day for 7 days.
I love that, because small challenges keep you motivated, and motivation is the secret weapon to break through the plateau.
Exactly. And remember, feeling stuck is normal. Every learner goes through it. The important thing is not to quit. Keep pushing, and you will see progress again.
That's right. And one of the best ways to push forward is to develop what I call the fluency mindset, learning to think directly in English.
Yes, and that's what we'll explore next.
All right, Julia, now let's talk about something very important for fluency, the fluency mindset.
Yes, this is about learning to think in English instead of constantly translating from your native language.
Exactly. Many learners make the mistake of translating every word in their head. This slows down speaking and makes you hesitate.
Right. So instead, try to connect English words with ideas directly. For example, when you see a cat, think cat instead of goat or your native word.
Another tip is to speak to yourself in English throughout the day. Even short sentences like I'm making tea or I need to go out help train your brain.
Yes, and the more you practice this, the easier it becomes to think and respond naturally in English without stopping to translate.
So, fluency is not just about vocabulary or grammar. It's about developing a mindset that makes English your natural language for thinking and communicating.
Exactly. And once you have this mindset, the final step is using practical tips every day to keep improving.
All right, Julia. Now that we've covered the fluency mindset, let's give our listeners some practical tips they can use every day to improve their English.
Yes. First, I'd say, practice a little every day. Even 15 to 20 minutes of focused English practice is more effective than long sessions once a week.
Exactly. Tip number 2. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Speak, write, and try new words. Mistakes are part of learning.
Tip 3. Mix up your practice. Listen to podcasts, read articles, write a short journal, and speak with someone. Variety keeps learning fun and effective.
Tip 4. Set small goals. For example, I'll learn 5 new words today, or I'll speak in English for 10 minutes. Small wins keep you motivated.
And tip 5. Surround yourself with English. Watch movies, follow English social media pages, or even think in English. The more you immerse yourself, the faster you improve.
These practical steps, when done consistently, really make a difference. Remember, fluency isn't built overnight. It's built step by step.
Exactly. And with the right mindset and consistent effort, anyone can go from beginner to fluent in English.
Perfect. And now, let's end today's episode with some motivational closing thoughts. Well, Julia, before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with some motivation. Learning English can feel challenging at times, but every small step counts.
Absolutely, Jason. Remember, fluency is a journey, not a race. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak, brings you closer to your goal.
And don't forget, consistency and practice are your best friends. Even if you feel like progress is slow, keep going. Every day you practice, you're improving more than you realize.
Yes, and enjoy the process. Celebrate small victories, like understanding a movie without subtitles or having your first conversation in English. These moments remind you why you started.
Exactly. So, to all our listeners, keep practicing, stay patient, and believe in yourself. You can go from beginner to fluent in English.
You've got this, and we can't wait to hear about your progress.
All right, Julia. That brings us to the end of today's episode on how to go from beginner to fluent in English.
Yes, thank you so much to everyone who joined us today. We hope you found these tips and insights helpful for your English learning journey.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the English Learning Podcast so you never miss an episode. And remember, practice a little every day.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions or want to share your progress, leave a comment or reach out to us on social media. We love hearing from our listeners.
Thank you again for tuning in. Keep learning, stay motivated, and we'll see you in the next episode.